Hello, everyone, and welcome to Magma Ragers episode 35. As always, I'm joined by Pandemonia, and we're going to be talking about all the recent news, mostly, obviously, in Hearthstone. Not a lot of esports going on right now, so most of our focus today is going to be on some news. How are you doing, Pandemonia?
I'm doing good. I just not playing as much Hearthstone as I have been, but
Mm.
just taking a bit of a break.
Yeah, it is kind of like a bit of an off season almost at the moment, as we kind of wait for Blizzcon and wait for the Hearthstone World Championships early next year. So from like a competitive perspective, certainly unless you've qualified for the Hearthstone World Championships, it's a bit of an off season right now. So the what has been going on though in over the last few weeks is the Hallows End Festival, and with that comes the double arena, which is basically where you get to pick a class first, and then you pick a secondary class, which gives you the hero power of that secondary class, and then during the picking phase or the deck building phase, you get offered cards from both classes. So for those who haven't gone and tried it yet, I definitely encourage them to. I can't honestly say too much about it as I haven't even played through all my free runs yet. I really have been not playing much Hearthstone, busy with a lot of other real world stuff this last 2 weeks. So yeah, have you been playing much of the double arena? How do you find it?
I play a couple games. Like I found, and I've spoken to a couple of people, the power level is definitely much higher than it has been previously, because now obviously you've got two classes, so there's just quite a lot
Mm,
of ridiculous synergies,
mm.
and some classes just support each other really powerfully.
Yeah, yeah. And then going with this is this is obviously part of the Hallows End Festival, which we saw bring us Nemsi for the taverns, which we spoke about last week. And also one thing that's happened with the update is changes to the graphical feel of the game. We've got a more kind of spooky feel with the like candy corn and whatnot that you see in the background, and some like fog and mist effects, and that annoying horseman that laughs at you, which I think is quite nice just to give Hearthstone some kind of festive like holiday feel to it during the
Yeah.
time. It's always nice when these games can incorporate those kind of holiday kind of festivals, even though in South Africa Halloween's not really as much of a big thing as it is obviously in the US, but it is still quite cool just to see those little graphical touches. Have you been enjoying the spookiness?
I just think like I wouldn't say I've been enjoying the spookiness per se, but I just like sort of the concept that Blizzard have started actually, doing extra, go like putting in extra details,
Mm.
and like using, the thing like the background, using the intro screen, and using all these things to create extra effects. So we'll see what they can do in the future with it.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it before with the build up to the Lich King stuff, I think, as well. There was like some snowy and frosty effects, and
Yeah, and even
yeah,
during like the Christmas festival, what do they call it? The
uh,
Frost Festival, whatever they called it.
frostness or
That.
something. I don't know.
But yeah,
Yeah,
they add their
yeah, yeah.
extra snowflakes and things.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not exactly new, but it's good to see them at least keeping up. Hopefully they can. Hopefully it doesn't delay them in actually making changes to the game. Positive changes to the client, which is obviously always the first thing people are like, "Oh, why are they doing this instead of giving us tournament mode?" But I'm sure they are hopefully working on those things in the background. But speaking of changes to the client, if there are again going to be any, I imagine we're going to see them announced at BlizzCon. That's coming up this weekend, the 3rd to the 5th of November, I think it is. Yeah, Friday to Sunday this weekend.
Yeah.
And we already know one thing, and that is anyone that has a virtual ticket for BlizzCon is going to be getting a golden Marin the Fox, uh, who is going to be a new card as part of the new set. Um, what are your thoughts on like giving away cards like this, especially golden ones? Have you bought your virtual ticket yet? I know you like golden cards.
I've been kind of torn because, like as much as I want the golden card, firstly, the chances are it's going to be barely playable because, like, from like sort of Blizzard's history, the free legendaries they do give are usually the fun gimmicky ones. They haven't given everybody. They don't give you like a tier 1 legendary. but also it's just the cost. It's a case of is it worth it? It's currently I think it's €30 or $40.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of the stuff you get, it's only really worthwhile if you hectically follow BlizzCon. You get I think access to some of the interviews and things, but besides that, you don't get anything. I mean, besides some of the in-game goodies, I really, I'm struggling to find where the
Mm.
the €30 worth is.
Yeah, I've kind of always felt that about the BlizzCon tickets, and I think it's also particularly because of how it translates into our local currency, how expensive it is.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of felt like, what's the real point? Like to me, honestly, I feel like Blizzard shouldn't have virtual tickets. It feels like a bit of a scam to me. I've never really liked them as a system. I feel like, I mean, you have E3, which is just free on Twitch, and that's much bigger than BlizzCon.
Oh,
Uh,
BlizzCon is also you still get to watch all the basic streams for free.
yeah, yeah.
It's just some things that I'm like, there's some extra perks you get for buying the
Yeah, I
virtual
just
ticket.
like I don't know. Like maybe it's just because I don't care as much about cosmetics, or I don't play the other Blizzard games anymore, like anywhere near as much. Pretty much just play Hearthstone out of Blizzard stable these days. So maybe it's that, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little tempting, but really, if you think about paying that much money for basically that much dust, is one way to think about it. I'm not really sure it is worth it. I think I'd much rather spend that money on packs, to be honest.
Although I think, well, I'm just looking here now. It looks like one of the things you do get access to is the closing ceremony, which not everybody gets access to. So, but I mean, I'm sure somebody will, upload it or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I usually like all the important information will be disseminated eventually. That's
yeah,
like in a relatively speedy manner. Like unless you want to watch all the stuff live, then I don't know if it's necessary. But I don't know. To be honest, I've never really looked that hard into everything that the virtual tickets give you. So maybe I'm just blind as to their value. But I kind of agree with you. I struggle to see the value in them.
yeah,
But um, Marin is pretty cool. It's not the only thing going on uh, at BlizzCon. There is going to be the Hosta Invitational as well that they announced recently, which is going to be a tournament with some invited streamers and players, forming part of four teams. The Jungle Giants, which is Kriparian, Firebat, and Jackie Chan. The Big Time Buccaneers, which is Disguised Toast, Ant, Alistraza. The Grime Street Grifters, which is Reynad, Tice, and Pathra. And the Chillblade Crusaders, which is Dog, RDU, and Naviute. And they're going to be taking part in various challenges, a wild challenge, a standard challenge, and some excavated treasures challenge. What do you think about the Hearthstone Invitational?
yeah. It's very similar, vibe to the October Brawl that we saw. I didn't actually follow too closely, but this is, because the World Championships is not at BlizzCon. It's in early January. They
Mm.
felt Blizzard felt the need to have a Hearthstone kind of event. So this is, as I say, it's an invitational. But the whole thing is this is meant to be, I think, a little bit more fun. Obviously, a lot of those players are actually really good players, to try and they're going to try and win it. But, like you can see from the different formats and the different challenges that, it's something a bit different, something to just entertain people, I think, instead of
Yeah.
being hip, being super competitive.
Yeah. And I mean, it is kind of a way that they can promote Wild as well. I mean, just giving a Wild thing's quite nice.
Yeah.
Uh, the standard one, it's kind of like watching any kind of team tournament, I imagine, although it depends on the exact format.
Yeah.
And then this third challenge, the excavated treasures, that's kind of the interesting challenge.
There's not much information on it. Besides,
Yeah.
you get random. You somehow. So, like, I'm not sure if it's going to be like an arena type because they do say, you get to find cards and things, but, we'll have to see what it is. Should be quite a lot of fun to watch. So, I recommend people, it's always good to just watch these things. It sometimes it's a new fun way to enjoy the game.
Yeah, and I think especially this third challenge and some of the other clues we've gotten, including things like the names of the teams. What this does hint at is probably the big news that everyone's interested in when it comes to BlizzCon, and that's the announcement of the new expansion. Uh, I think we can pretty much guarantee that they're going to announce a new expansion at BlizzCon. I'd be very shocked if they didn't, quite honestly. The only concern with it is the new expansion's obviously only going to launch after the Hearthstone World Championships, so that does leave quite a lot of time between BlizzCon's initial
Which
announcement.
it must still be before because usually the expansion comes in December. The
Oh,
World Championships is
true,
only in
true.
January. They're not going to only release the next set in January.
True, I thought they might leave it just because of balance and making things easier for the um, competitive community. But yeah, that's true. They could actually release it before to make
Because they usually for the
World
past few
Championships a bit
years
more
they
interesting.
have,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, the sort of hints we've been getting, if we look at the team names, the first three, the Grime Street Grifters referring to Gadgetzan, the Jungle Giants referring to Ungora, and the Chillblade Crusaders referring to the Frozen Throne expansion. Those kind of all have themed names, and then Big Time Buccaneers is clearly a very pirate themed name. So I think a lot of the speculation has been around the new expansion revolving around pirates. That is also kind of reinforced with the Marin the Fox, being that he does in fact look like a pirate. He does have his treasure chest there, as well as his swash thingy. What are they called? There's a prop.
Saber.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, he looks like he could be some kind of pirate, although not the most piratey of pirate ones, if you know what I mean. No patches and no um, pirate hats. And speaking of patches, obviously when everyone thinks, oh, a pirate expansion, they think, oh, pirate decks are going to become really OP and stuff. But the big news, obviously, is that soon after this expansion hits, patches will be rotating out,
yeah,
along with a lot of other cards after the Hearthstone World Championships, I imagine. Um,
yeah. I think it's. I mean, I'm almost guaranteed it was It's completely intentional. Much like they rotated patch. Patches only came into standard after Ships Canada rotated out. So I think they're purposely, waiting for patches to rotate out, and then, you know, I mean, well, actually, if it releases in December, there'll be like a short period where you'll probably have a whole bunch of pirates and patches in. So
yeah, but the new expansion, well, the rotation will happen then at the beginning of the year exactly? Or will it, do you think they'll actually wait for BlizzCon or for the Hearthstone World Championships? Because that gives very little time for the players to figure out the new meta. And if they give the expansion, if the rotation only happens after the Hearthstone World Championships for the new year, which would make
yes,
total sense because
that's
that's
what usually
how
would
the
happen.
competitive format would you'd imagine the rotations would work based on that, then the whole patches and pirates thing could be a problem. Especially for obviously their premier esports event, if all the decks are pirate decks or something silly like that because of a momentary imbalance in the system. So I don't know. It is actually going to be quite interesting. My first thought was, well, okay, patches will rotate out, but how that's going to affect the Hearthstone World Championships in particular is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, the rotation. I mean, as they have announced, the rotation will only happen in the first set of the new year. So we're going to be still getting one set this year in December most likely, and then there's going to be the new set, and that's when the rotation happens next year. So
Yeah.
there will still be a few months, of this new set with patches and the old things. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like we had with Reno and Kazakus.
yeah, there was a short period of Reno just dominated because it was so powerful, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, what this also, what also leads to us thinking, about pirates beyond just Marin and the name of the team is the third challenge as well. Excavated Treasures, obviously a very pirate themed name for that event, as well as the fact that it talks about a stash of valuable cards. Maybe this is actually going to be some kind of format where they get given packs from the new set, or they get given pre-built decks. I think that's probably a little bit more likely. Uh, or they
Or
get
it could
just
be cards to
given,
spoil.
yeah, they get given some cards that they spoil, and then they have to build their decks around those as well, or with them.
Yeah.
We could easily be seeing that. I think that would make a lot of sense as a way to reveal cards. You know, a lot of their current ways of revealing cards are becoming a little bit overused, let's say. They've been the same for the last few expansions. Sometimes giving them to streamers and stuff that helps a little bit to have people reveal them in slightly more interesting ways. But this will be a good way to reveal things in a much more interesting manner.
Yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, like like you said, I mean, for a while they did it mainly by voting, and then they tried. There was a time where they did it by factions, I think, with Mean Streets of
Hmm.
Gadget, and it was like you had to vote for your faction. So I think they've tried, but at the end of the day, I mean, even if you, yeah, I mean, even if you follow the magic spoilers, there's only so many ways you can reveal things, right?
Yeah.
Before it's like, oh, okay, we've seen this way. Try a new way. There's only so many ways you can light the fireworks and have a big shebang about it.
Yeah, but for getting your majority of your Hearthstone audience excited, it is very good that they reveal things in interesting ways. I mean, for me, I just want to know all the cards. Just tell me all the cards. I don't really care. You can dump them on a Reddit thread or on 4chan, and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
I don't
build
really
up the
care about how.
hype.
But I can totally understand, it's important for the majority of your audience to build up the hype and get more people interested in playing when the expansion comes out and
And make more
all that kind of
monies.
thing. Yeah, and make more
I mean,
money.
the big thing is getting people to want to buy more packs, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I'm saying like I want them to do it well so that more people are interested in the game, so that the game stays healthy, rather
Yeah,
than like so they can make money. I don't care if they make money. Well, I know they will make money, so I'd only care if they were making money if making money was at anything they were at risk of not doing, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Like if they were some small indie company, lol, uh,
Well, there are some
yeah,
indie companies there,
and
right?
they were at risk of going under, then I'd be worried about them making money for the future of the game. But it's more about whether people will remain interested in the game that will sort of determine its long-term future.
Yeah, especially from compared to just keeping you just want a healthy ecosystem, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it does look like it could be pirates. The one other thing that we were kind of discussing off air was the idea that it could be like pirates and something else. So pirates versus ninjas was,
Yeah,
something they've talked about
hinted at
like
about,
quite
yeah.
a long time ago. Something they wanted to do and something that didn't happen. Maybe they could be revisiting that theme. So we'll have to see. We haven't seen anything ninja themed in the uh, or anything hinting at anything ninja themed, but it could just be that they don't want to do
They're
that. Like
ninja-like,
if
right?
oh no.
So that's why we haven't seen it yet.
No, yeah, I get you. No, I just mean they don't want to like spoil both parts of the surprise. If everyone now thinks
Yeah,
it's gonna be pirates and then also it's ninjas, then people will be excited. Whereas everyone already knows it's gonna be pirates and ninjas, then people will still be excited, but maybe less so. But
yeah,
anyway, that is what we can expect at BlizzCon. It's going to be exciting. I'm definitely interested to see what they reveal, and I'm far more interested in the new expansion and any news about changes to the game, to be honest, than I am about anything like the Hosta Invitational or any of the other events that are going on there.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's not as much hype this year because like we said, last year it was all about the world championships and things.
Yeah,
So obviously now not as much excitement. I mean, obviously people still like seeing their like their favorite streamers or whatever, but it's not as much. It's not as much at stake.
yeah, yeah. And then in terms of esports, there's not been a lot going on. There is still Trinity series that's going on though, so I'd encourage everyone to watch that if you can. It's uh, on. Oh, there's actually games tonight on October the 31st. So it's usually the Monday, Tuesday every week, I believe. Is that how it's been?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something. I think something like that.
Uh, Either way, um, it's definitely something worth watching if you do get a chance. So I would definitely encourage people to watch that. But that is all we have for this week's episode. Thanks a lot for watching or listening. And please like, subscribe, and follow to help the channel grow. And also give us any feedback in the comments, or you can tweet at us as well. You can find Pandemonia at PandemoniaZA. That's with a 3 and a 0 for the E and the O, respectively. And myself, you can find at dib_gaming on Twitter. So yeah, tweet at us and let us know any feedback, or just leave your comments in the comments section. So yeah, thanks a lot. From myself, cheerio.
Cheers.